Your car salesman, your mortgage broker, your real estate agent are probably not going to educate you on what you can comfortably afford or on these rules. So it's not really your fault. I don't really know if it's their responsibility to educate you on these things. You got to figure this out on your own, and you got to figure out the numbers behind making a big purchase, because that's a lot of money that you save that you're putting into this house, right? Probably the most amount of money you've saved in your entire life or ever will save in your entire life. Affordability is a very interesting subject. If I could afford to buy a house, I wouldn't have learned these two rules that the wealthy follow when it comes to determining if you can afford to buy a house or a car. When it comes to getting pre-approved, tax is really not considered. It's kind of your gross income that's considered. You get pre-approved for a lot more than you can actually afford comfortably. The general rule of thumb for how much you can afford is not followed when it comes to getting pre-approved. So what happens to a lot of people, including me, that has happened to me in the past, is you get pre-approved for a certain amount and you're excited because now you can get your dream home, you can get your car that you wanted, when technically you probably shouldn't have bought that if you're trying to be smart with your money. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have bought a house or shouldn't have bought a car. It just means that you bought too much house or too much car. As soon as we hear that we're approved, you get excited because it's like, oh, okay, well, I have the income to qualify for this. I'm going to go buy this. That's not the whole picture. You're seeing that, oh, I have the funds in my bank account, or on paper, I have the funds to be able to afford this. You could still make that mistake and still recover from it. Here's what happened to me. So in 2022, I bought this car up here. I had two cars before that. I had a 2003 Honda Accord. After that, I had a 2009 Honda Accord. They were both cars that I paid for in cash. So I had no car payment. I didn't know what a car payment even felt like until 2022. There's pros and cons that come with doing that, right? Especially if you're not too familiar with maintenance of a car and, you know, what do you do when it breaks down, and you're not obsessed with parts of a car and all that stuff. There are car guys that this happened to my car. I know what to do. I know how not to get swindled by the mechanic. They learned from a young age, or they had people in their life teach them, and whatever reason, right? And that's what interests them, right? The same way that investing interests me, fixing up cars could interest them. For them, it doesn't make sense to really finance anything, really, because you can buy a depreciated car that you know that you can comfortably maintain and drive for as long as you want, and you can buy it for the price that you want. You know what the market rates are. You know what it should go for. You know what you can get for it down the road. Everybody else, and me included, for me, what I noticed might have been 5 or 6 years of driving older Hondas that I paid for in cash. Even with proper maintenance, somehow I ended up having a bunch of things repaired and going to the mechanic. I'm just someone who, my time is very important. It's now more than ever, but back then I guess it wasn't as important. I didn't mind, but I didn't like having to wait at the mechanics for hours. Like, it's like I had to dedicate an entire day to go to the mechanic. And obviously you could buy an old car and nothing could go wrong for maybe 10 years. Like, if you properly maintained it, or the person before you properly maintained it, everything that needed to be replaced got replaced before you bought the car. That'd be great. You look around, you see on social media, everybody else has a brand new car, You're more like, I also need a brand new car and I can afford this payment. It's like $200 or $500 or $700. I deserve this car, It's only until later, when you get more financially literate, you realize that, okay, well, I really wish I didn't have this $500 a month payment. I could have invested that money if I bought a car that I could comfortably afford. Just because I make X amount of income, I got pre-approved for this car loan, my credit score is great. You feel good about yourself that, oh yeah, I should be in this car. I make this amount of money, I have this credit score. The car dealership feels great that you got pre-approved for that. You shouldn't really feel great. They're not your friend. They're trying to make money on the interest that's baked into your car loan. If you're buying a car, your monthly payment that's going towards your car should be no more than 10% of your take-home pay, if you want to be smart with your money. Basically, I had a car payment of $434 a month. That was in 2022. I still have that car payment. However, it's close to 10% of my monthly take-home pay. Typically, though, I've seen on other channels based in the US, though, so their insurance is much, much lower. But here in Canada, in Ontario specifically, car insurance is through the roof. Technically, your car payment plus your car insurance, plus any sort of maintenance, whatever, all in, your expenses that you put towards your car every single month should be 10% of your take-home pay if you want to adhere to this principle that the wealthy follow. You should only allocate X amount to this because this is not something that is going to appreciate in most cases. It is a liability. If I were to include insurance, car insurance, I'd be over the 10%. Just the car payment alone, I'm close to the 10%, right? And I know majority of people have never heard of this. Ideally, you should allocate no more than 10% of your take-home pay monthly to your car payment. And if you do that, now you have 90% left over. Obviously in a perfect world, you paid for your car in cash, right? If you are financing, which most people are going to end up doing or have already done, you shouldn't allocate more than 10% of your take-home pay to your car payment. That's not even talking about the predatory interest that's baked into your car loan that you don't really think about or care about until you realize it's too late. And even if you pay off your car loan early, the interest was already baked into your monthly payment every single month for the entirety of the term. The rule for buying a house or a property that you're living in, the amount of income that you should allocate towards your housing costs, including home insurance, property tax, maintenance and repairs, utilities, mortgage, should be no more than 28 to 33% of your take-home pay monthly. Most people don't follow this. That's why people end up in debt. That's why people don't end up building as much wealth. So these rules are for if you want to build as much wealth as you possibly can. Spend less than you make and then follow these type of rules. Allocate minimal amount to your wants and then a decent amount to your needs and then save and invest the difference. If I could have afforded a home, I would have probably already bought, if I had the savings, if I had saved a down payment, I would have bought a house and learned this after the fact, or maybe I would have never learned this and years later I would see this on somebody else's video. Because I couldn't afford a home and I didn't have the savings to put as a down payment, I needed to search on the internet. Over the last 5 to 7 years, I've just been learning about how to build wealth and watching all these self-development videos and these personal finance videos and these investing videos. I come across this gentleman by the name of Ramit Sethi. I'll link his channel in the description. He wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He made a video about why he has never purchased a home in his entire life as a millionaire. It's a very polarizing topic. Like even I posted a TikTok and a lot of people there's a lot of anger behind this whole, should you invest in the market or buy a house? Whenever you say anything bad about real estate, people get very, very upset. I learned this rule. I had heard it before from other personal finance channels. He said that 28 to 33% is the max you should allocate towards your housing costs. Whether you're renting or you're buying, that's the maximum because the rest of the money you need to live and spend on the things that you want to spend on. And that's how you live a happy life, not putting your entire income into your house. That's just a concept that is unfamiliar for a lot of people. People get into a house, you purchase a house, it's like you won the lottery or something. Like you got in the house, it's going to appreciate over time. You won the lottery, but you forget how much money you put into that over your lifetime, including your mortgage payment, which is majority interest early on. I'm a very big advocate on just saying, hey, there's this other option over here. It's this scary thing called the stock market, and it is scary, but it takes a whole lot less money to get started. It's a whole lot less of a commitment financially. Mentally, you just have to learn. When you buy a home, you're learning so many things anyways. I always end up going back to stock market versus real estate, but my point is you can't afford it. That's the point of this video. You can't afford it. I can't afford it. You can't afford it. Even just because you have the down payment does not mean that you can afford it. Just because you're pre-approved for that mortgage does not mean that you can afford it. Just because you're pre-approved for that car loan does not mean that you can afford it. If you literally have the cash in the bank to pay for that car in cash and you want to finance the car and invest that lump sum into the stock market, dollar cost average into a low cost index fund or something, or an index ETF, by all means, that's a smart thing to do. Because worst case scenario, you shouldn't be pulling out of your investment, but you have the funds to pay off your car, right? If you can comfortably pay off your car, have a plan. If you're going to finance a car, have a plan. Pay it off in 1 or 2 years max. Don't extend the term of the loan so that your car payment can go down. That's what I did 2 years ago when I was uneducated on this topic. This video is mainly about the mortgage and affording the home and the house that you can't afford, that no one's going to tell you that you can't afford it because on paper you can afford it based on the test that they do, but they don't factor in taxes. So taxes is going to wipe out majority of your income anyways. A lot of people are not aware of this, right? What is the money that you actually take home that's actually hitting your bank account at the end of the day? With that, make a budget. see what your cash flow is. It's a very liberating and empowering thing to do, to see, okay, this is my income. This is all the money that I absolutely need to spend every single month just to live and survive. And what do I have left over? Back to the point of this video, just because you're pre-approved and you have the funds physically to actually put into that in your bank account, when you get pre-approved for something, they're not factoring in how much goes to your groceries, how much goes to self-care, how much goes to this and that. And now suddenly you're sacrificing your sanity just to make this mortgage payment after the fact, just to get your quote unquote dream house. If you wanted to afford it and live a happy life, 28 to 33% of your take home pay. I'll link the video where I got this information from. Back in the day, it made sense. Your income can comfortably cover the house. But nowadays, you got to be smart. You got to be alert. You got to educate yourself, because no one's going to come and save you. No one's going to come and give you the information. I'm giving you the information because I didn't get the information. I found it. That's what this channel is all about. I got the information that I got, I want to pass on to you, and hopefully you can pass it on to someone else, or hopefully you can verify that. Obviously I'm just some guy on YouTube, so verify, hey, does this actually make sense? Like, where is this coming from? Why is this a rule? Okay, so suddenly I can't afford the car that I own, drive, and the house that I live in. So what should I do about it? You can change your circumstances if you really, really wanted to. It's just hard. It's uncomfortable. If you want to build wealth in the long term and in turn live a happy life and not stress about finances, you can change these things and go down the rabbit hole on YouTube. Don't just listen to me. Go search, how much should I put towards my house, or the rule for buying a house, or the rule for financing a car, how to finance a car. I'm going to make a video about both of those things individually. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one.